So welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast. And as always, we're supported and sponsored by Goku projects. So Goku supply trail running caps. If you've not seen them, go check them out. They're constantly doing discounts to get your hands on some of the most popular models that they do. Be seen out there with the stylish new designs. There's new colorways coming out very soon. There's plenty of discount codes out there. Ultra Sam 5 will get you £5 off at checkout. So if you want to check out the caps, go to Goku projects. You can find them on their website and on the social media. Instagram probably is the best place to find them. So go check them out. Daryl's a great guy, and he's bringing out some great products. Some great caps, so go check them out. Goku projects. Okay, on with the show. Okay, so welcome to the podcast, James Gibson.
Hiya, how you doing?
All the applause in the background. I'll add that in afterwards. James, appreciate you coming on. And we're just before we hit record, we were talking about our mutual friend Gazabaza, Gary Bamford. Shout out to Gary if you're listening or watching. He won't be, but I'll tell him to. Right, okay. So James, you're obviously infamous in the outdoor industry, especially at the moment. So you've just completed solo unsupported all 3 rounds in wintertime, all in one winter, and that's never been done before, has it? And also the Paddy Buckley and the Ramsay, they were actually solo records in themselves anyway, weren't they, for winter rounds?
So the Bob Graham and the Ramsay.
Obviously, Bob Graham, was it? But
Damien still got the Paddy record. Yeah. Awesome. So basically, somehow managed to do a good time in winter on the Bob. So I had literally perfect conditions. And my mate actually held the anti-clockwise supported record for that, Jack Oliver, and I managed to sneak in a little bit quicker than him. And then the Ramsay, knowing, as far as we know, had done a solo unsupported Ramsay, and that was basically clarified through Martin Stone, who holds basically any record in fell running going. So.
Amazing. So it's so it feels like a real achievement then.
Yeah. I was glad to get it done because it's very time consuming and a lot of effort involved, and not only that, it's like I had multiple failures or unsuccessful attempts.
6 attempts. So was it 6 attempts? So is that just an attempt on each one?
So 6 attempts in total, and so 3 of those were on the Paddy, 1 of them being successful. So to go back after 2 failed attempts or unsuccessful took a bit of doing. Thankfully the weather held out for that, and then I had one go on the Ramsay before I did it again late Feb, and when I attempted that, it was it was full on winter conditions, and it was just a bit too slow going basically to do it under the time, so I decided to come on.
Made the wise decision. Obviously, you're in your employment, you've got to be seen to be setting an example for that kind of thing anyway, haven't you? You've got to, if something isn't quite right, you're not in a position to be taking risks, are you?
No, exactly. And it, even more so being solo and only updating someone by text. You don't want to be in the hills and it's not quite right taking risky sort of decisions. So I was trying to be sensible.
Yeah, good idea. Just rewinding a little bit, how so when I interview people, I like to sort of, if people aren't familiar with them particularly, many of my listeners and viewers will know who you are anyway, but for ones that don't know your backstory, how did you sort of get into trail running, fell running? Because you're I wouldn't call you a jack of all trades, but you're into a lot of outdoor stuff, aren't you? So how did you kind of get into that space in the first place?
So yeah, before probably like 6-7 years now, I was never interested in running whatsoever. Like climbing, mountaineering's always been my passion. So I'm not actually from, I live in the Lake District, but I'm not actually from Cumbria. I moved up from Cornwall. I studied outdoor leadership, so my background's working wise is working in the outdoors. So I take people in the hills all the time, whether that be like hiking or walking, hiking or climbing or mountaineering, whatever it is. So the way I sort of saw it when I first got into it is that I had that like going uphill sort of endurance sort of fitness, I guess you'd say, because I was used to going up hills all the time. And yeah, how it all started is about 6 years ago. A good friend of mine, Joe Mann, a good fell runner and stuff, doesn't live in the lakes anymore, but he basically was like, yeah, come on, let's go out and do a run. And yeah, it was a Fairfield Horseshoe, which is on my doorstep here. And yeah, I'd never really been running much beforehand, and I found it not too taxing, which was good. And yeah, I mean, I guess from that I started looking, maybe probably wasn't the greatest training, but I started doing like the longer stuff. So I started looking at like long days, and obviously being in the Lake Districts, the Bob Graham's like, sits at the top really. So yeah, without like any training whatsoever really, like in terms of running, I started wrecking some of the legs. So I did leg 1 first. I managed to stay on the time that it suggests. That went fine. And then a couple of weeks later, I went to go and recce leg 3, 4, and 5, not really running anything in between. And basically, yeah, I just set off by myself and done my race. And I was, I was going to finish in Keswick, but I was doing well during the day. Like the weather was really good. And my mate was like, well, I mean, why don't you just keep going on basically? So yeah, I carried on past Keswick, did leg 1, had a friend sort of come out on that leg with me, and then got down to Thurrock, and Joe was there, and yeah, we ran that last leg together and managed to finish under 24 hours. So wow. Yeah, and then from that, I guess I caught the bug for ultra running or running and fell running. And then yeah, my sort of passion has always been like long days out on the hill. So and then equally coming from that, like multi days, so stuff like the Cape Wrath, Pennine Way, whatever, bits like that as well.
So that first Bob Graham then, was that an unofficial Bob Graham then? Does it have to finish at Moot Hall and start?
Yeah. So basically for an official one, you've got to start and finish at Moot Hall. Yeah. And have like supporters for each leg. But that never really worried me whatsoever. I didn't
that for a long run.
Reason. It was just I guess you could call it an accidental Bob Graham. I
found the title for the episode now, accidental Bob Graham.
Yeah, but and then over the last couple of years I've looked at more training. So especially when I did like the Wainwrights, for example, I sought out a good friend of mine, Paul Turney, who and yeah, he's a coach, and yeah, I basically followed his guidance essentially for the last couple of years. And so yeah, I put a lot more time in terms of like getting stronger, fitter, and everything else.
Because it's a different kind of fitness, isn't it? We talk about like trail running, but fell running it's another beast altogether, isn't it? Like being I've got a good friend who lives in Dalgethley, and he's all over Snowdonia and everything, and he is an absolute mountain goat. But we often have like sort of a bit of between us about who's the quickest and on the flat and everything like that. But he just spends all his time. He comes out of his house and he has to go uphill, and he's got no choice. So that kind of fitness. So the role that you were in before in the outdoor industry, mountaineering and all that climbing, that's obviously given you a bit of do you feel like it's given you kind of like a step up as far as like progressing quickly in fell running?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Because I used to live in Cornwall before, and that's where my family are from. And if I was living down there and having to come to like the lakes or Snowdonia or whatever it was, and then started to do fell running, I think I would have struggled. It's because I've got it all on my doorstep and I'm doing it as a job. I feel like that gives me my fitness and and allows me, like some sort of training as well. And especially doing it with a bag as well, like all the time working, I guess you've got that sort of load as well that you're carrying up the hill. And yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it pays off.
So for anyone who was thinking of coming up and doing any of the rounds that can be done, what's your sort of go-to bit of advice that you could give to people that are planning to do one of the big rounds, especially in winter?
In winter, yeah. So winter's obviously a little bit different to having long daylight and stuff in summer, but just getting like used to the terrain, I would suggest. So, whether you recce the legs or parts of the legs, or it's just getting used to like the terrain that you're going to encounter. So, and then eventually sort of stringing some of those legs together. And then, once you've done that, you sort of can work out if you need to work out on speed for the time that you want to go for, or whatever it might be. So my biggest thing would be just getting used to the terrain. So whether that be hills or whatever it is. Yeah.
Specificity.
Yeah, exactly.
So as far as you're coached by Paul, then, are you, Paul Tierney?
So I was. It was mainly for the Wainwrights. So yeah, for 2 years basically, he really helped me out massively. And then I mean, I've just been doing my own sort of, I guess, coaching since then. So since having obviously a coach, I sort of got a good understanding on what I should and shouldn't be doing. So, and with the winter round sort of challenge as well that I had, I knew that once I started, I couldn't really build much more fitness. It was more about resting and making sure that the weather windows were appropriate for the challenge. So yeah, I mean, the last two, so going from the Paddy to the Ramsay, I only had I think it was like 12 days between the two. So I knew that it was pointless running because it wasn't really going to do much. It was maximizing rest. Yeah, I had a problem with my foot as well. So a lot of focus was just getting that, set to the standard whereby it could hold for another 24 hours.
So what kind of how much are you relying on windows in the weather for because I know in summer, even in the summer, you can be shut down on a round, can't you? So how much is it just you've got to just, because a lot of planning obviously goes into it with recceing and doing all the different legs, and then I know you obviously did unsupported, but if you're doing supported rounds, you've got to try and organise. I think I read was it you had up to 70 people. Was that on? What was that for the Wainwrights? You had 70 people.
That was for the winter Wainwrights, and then in the summer I had like 90 pretty much. So yeah, huge team.
What do you do? You just sort of hand it over to somebody else and then forget about it?
Pretty much that's how it went. Yeah. So I planned it all. Going for the Wainwrights anyway. So I planned it all prior to the attempt. So I looked at people that were local to the legs. I made sure that those people knew the hills, and then basically when I had to go in summer, it was making sure that everything was in place whereby the support team didn't really need to do much, if that makes sense. So I tried to make it as easy as possible, and my best mate Matt was basically managing the whole situation and making sure that if I slipped behind or gained time, it was making sure the supporters were there, I guess. But yeah, I mean, going back to the solo unsupported weather windows, I guess. So a lot of my work I do is during the summer, spring and autumn period, and then I tend to have a lot of time off in the winter. So a lot of the rounds that I do, well, the bigger sort of rounds, I guess, would be in the winter period where I've got more time. So yeah, I'm pretty blessed with having a lot of time off. So I knew that, all I had to do is make sure that I was free within a period of good weather. So having all that time off, I guess, allowed me to pick and choose when to go. And I was just trying to look for nice high pressure days, and also wintry, which is, can be quite hard to get in the UK, especially good weather with snow on the ground and stuff like that. So yeah, I was massively fortunate for the Ramsay having that high pressure after a big thaw, because it stripped out a lot of the I guess, the harder going snow and left like a lot of patches that were frozen solid with like the cold sort of weather that came through, but not falling as much snow. And especially in Scotland, like out of all three, the Ramsay was definitely the one that I was like anxious about. So just trying to get the conditions and being like really remote in places, and it was hard work to try and get it spot on.
The just going back to, which was it the Wainwrights when you attempted that for the second time? You did that in April. Yeah. So that was classed as, so April's classed as it being a summer attempt, is it?
Yeah. So basically, winter goes from the 1st of February to the very last day first day in December, sorry, to the very last day in Feb. And then essentially like the summer window opens either side of that. So yeah, I mean, when I did it in winter, it was like the first, really big thing that I sort of went and did, I guess. I had like proper winter conditions as well. And I had storms and stuff involved in that. But I finished that in like just over 8 days. And I knew that I could, or I had a feeling that I could do it a lot quicker. And it was never planned like that. That's for sure. But yeah, basically after I finished, I started recovering really well. I started running again. And then, I sort of thought, well, why not try and do it again and try and, do a really good time. And, why not utilize the fitness that I just built up over that long period of time. So yeah, I was like, well, why don't I just do it like start of April? So what, like 3.5 months later. And then, yeah, I mean, again, like during that period I had, I still had wintry weather. It was still icy cold and freezing cold winds and stuff. But yeah.
You were close, weren't you, to Jasmine's record, weren't you?
Sabrina.
Sorry, Sabrina.
Yeah.
What was it? 5 hours? Is it 5 hours? Was it something?
Yeah. So she did it in 5 days, 23 hours, I think it was, and I did it in 6 days, 5 hours. So yeah, I think it was like 5 or 6 hours. Yeah. But I had some really brutal like weather for the last 3 days. It was like 70-mile-an-hour winds on the top, like freezing cold, and yeah.
Do you think given the right, if you'd had the right window, then do you think you could have taken that record?
I think I would have got close, and yeah, who knows? I'm definitely not doing it again, so I never found out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was pretty happy like with my time anyway. Like considering what weather and stuff I had, I still managed to beat Paul by an hour, which I was pretty happy about.
Yeah,
he's still a lot quicker than me, that's for sure. It's just I had less rest. Awesome. So yeah, I was sleeping on like an hour a day. That was what I scheduled to have. So it was pretty brutal at times.
So what had you done about sleep then, as far as how does that work with being, because that you were supported for that, weren't you? So you could have, obviously, but for the others you just pushed straight through, obviously, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, 20 you can, I mean, I wouldn't say easy, but you could last for 24 hours. Yeah.
Get through. Amazing. So what's left to do then?
So funnily enough, I'm actually having a go at Lakes, Meres and Waters in 2 and a bit weeks time.
Who's got the record for that?
Joss Naylor, and he'll continue to have that, that's for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's time for that. It's just incredible. Like, so yeah, I mean, I'm doing that in 1st and 2nd of April is the plan. And yeah, I mean, if I could get under 24 hours, I'd be very, very happy with that. But it's just for me, it's a different kind of challenge because it involves a lot more running. I'm used to, I guess, going up and down hills, whereas this is more like, a lot more flat running, which is definitely going to test me a bit more. So yeah, I'm quite excited for that sort of challenge and seeing if I can hang on, I guess. But
so how old are you? 31, are you?
30? Yeah, 31.
31. So you're a spring chicken in terms of like long ultra distance. I'm saying this as a 43-year-old. So you've got plenty of years left in you. Then is there anything that you're sort of, big sky, blue sky thinking of, like a anything for the future that you would like to do like a
big
round? Yeah.
So when I finished, like, I guess the Winter Wainwrights, I always wanted to do like the Winter Monroe round. So like, have a good crack at that. But, the more I've thought about it and how much is actually involved in it, and to try and get it some sort of support as well, it's just huge. And whether I can actually get that organized, and not only that, it's the time as well. I'm looking at probably like nearly 3 months of like being on the move. It's just it's a big step up from being outside for like a week. But yeah, I mean, never say never, maybe in the future, but yeah, I wouldn't mind doing the Southwest Coast Path as well. That's the point, which is pretty big.
Think like we're coming home.
Yeah, nip home for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's lots of stuff out there. It's just
there is,
time and stuff as well.
Yeah. Would Innovate be interested in supporting you for something as big as that, for doing the Munros?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure there would be. Yeah. I'm definitely sure there would be behind me.
How have they been as far as supporting you with your running, they've obviously been good to you?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I became an ambassador just before the Summer Wainwrights. So yeah, they kindly sort of gifted me with a lot of clothing and footwear and everything needed, really, bags included. And I mean anything sort of need, I guess, they'd definitely be behind me for that. So yeah, they've been awesome, and I use all the kit anyway, so it's just it's a bonus.
Yeah, it works both ways. Brilliant.
So
as far as looking at your social media, there's obviously lots of running on there, but there's also stacks and stacks of proper like mountaineering, like ice climbing and stuff. Which sort of holds your love the most, running or
it's hard to say, really. I definitely say, the running sort of side of things. I found what I enjoy and like what I seem to be all right at. So I guess over the last couple of years, I've really enjoyed running, and then just being ice climbing on the Ben a couple of weeks ago, like it definitely brought back like a passion to try and do more, because it sort of sat on the back foot for the last couple of years because I've been focused on doing other things. But it's hard to say. I don't really want to say like one or the other. I'd like to say I'm hopefully half and half. But
is there any way you could sort of combine those two passions into one? Is there any races or any routes that you could do that?
Yeah. So I've done stuff in the past. So in the Lake District, there's something called the Classic Rock Round. So basically, Ken Wilson devised this book with like 80 classic rock routes all over the UK, and then 15 of them are actually in the Lake District. So the challenge is essentially linking up these 15 rock climbing routes up to, I don't know if you know climbing much, but up to very severe. All right, yeah. So up to like a fairly good standard, and then basically running between them. So yeah, me and my friend Jack, we did that a couple of years ago, and it was an amazing day out, just to do like, I think it was like 1,300 meters of climbing and then 35 miles of running. I think it was roughly around that sort of time, all under 24 hours. And yeah, it's a good challenge. Awesome. And I think that's now down to like 9 hours or 8 hours or something. So it's ridiculously quick. So yeah, I mean, and then equally, like, I'm not a swimmer at all, but there's stuff called like the Frog Graham. So, yeah, I've done that and stuff as well, and breaststroke my way across the lakes and done the running in between. So yeah, combining two activities together is it's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a good friend of mine, Andy. He did his Bob Graham last summer. And he's going back this summer to do the Frog Graham with a few mates. He's trying to get me to go, but I think the weekend that they're doing it, it's while I'm away.
Okay.
I'm in America, so I can't do it. Can't change my plans for that.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, the idea of it is that, because the idea of because I came into running through triathlon, so doing, you know, worked my way up through triathlon to do like full distance Ironman type stuff, and I went through a phase of absolutely loving open water swimming, and then I've just got out of it for years. And I remember trying to dig out my open water wetsuit, proper swimming wetsuit, and I dug it out of the loft and thought, oh, I'll try it on, see if it still fits after all these years. And I tried it on, and it was like a colander, just all full of holes where the mice had. I thought I'd wrapped it up in the bag really well, and the mice had eaten holes in it. So I was like, oh, forget that, and never got round to it again. So I think
I'd highly recommend it. It's a good, like, it's a really good day out. And if you're a good swimmer, like, you could cover the distance pretty quick. And then if you can run up and over hills, it's
I always, you know, whenever I've been in the lakes running, and I always just look at the lakes and just think, well, I've never actually been up in the summer, it's always been winter, and I just think, you know, if it was summer, I'd probably be on a paddleboard, but the idea of swimming and appeals, because you know, when you see on Instagram, and you've got the just the people that just do that all the time, they just go and swim in lakes in the Lake District, and they make it look so appealing. But I've never got around to doing it. I will do though eventually. I still don't understand why people swim in lakes in winter. It doesn't appeal whatsoever. But with Wim Hof.
Well, true.
I do that in the bath, but I haven't done it. My wife she was quite brave doing open water swimming with a friend of hers right up until, I think they were still going I'm sure just before the end of the year, they still went in wetsuits in the local river to us, and you know, full respect. So they just started asking about whether, you know, would they be okay if one of them had a heart attack and they floated down. It's like, you're in wetsuits, you'd be all right. And there's a weir further down, and they're all worried about them both. What happened if they both blacked out and both went down the weir?
Crazy.
Imagining scenarios. But anyway, we've got off the subject of running. So, you know, is there any? I'm just trying to think of some big races in Europe. So, does Tour de Géant have bits of climbing in it as well?
Not so much like. Well, to be honest, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's no, like, you know, rock climbing. I'm sure it would be like, like maybe a bit of Via Ferrata. I'm not too sure, to be honest. No, I don't know. I mean, I've never done a race in my life. It's all just been off my own back. So, but one race that does appeal, which Paul's done a couple of times, is Tour de Géant, or Tour de Glacier. You know, something that's
the other version. Is that the other version? There's two versions of it, isn't there? It was one.
Yeah, so Tour de Glacier is like the big one, and then Tour de Géant is like the big one. But yeah, I mean, that looks quite appealing, and I've never been to the Alps or anything like that, so I think that whole, like, you know, different scenery and, you know, all that sort of stuff would be pretty cool. But I don't know, who knows.
What about some long distance stuff over here, like the Spine race? You thought about?
Yeah, I mean, again, like, I've just not done a race ever, so I don't know what it's like, but to be honest, that I would just refuse to pay that sort of money when I can just go and do it with a mate. So I've done like the Pennine Way, and I've done it in like autumn and stuff with a mate, and you know, I probably still spent half of what the race prices cost. So and equally, you know, it's an awesome experience, and we still managed to get like some beer and food and stuff every night. So it has that. But yeah, I mean, Winter Spine would be pretty cool.
You've got those skills, haven't you? You've got those winter survival skills down, which is, you know, half the battle done, isn't it, with a race like that, especially like this year with the conditions that they had when they were like waiting.
Yeah, it looked really cool this year. I was quite jealous, actually. It looks really good.
Yeah, it's good. It was I mean, I was on the course shooting bits of video and stuff, and it's just like blue skies and snow on the ground. It's just absolutely like perfect for. There was guys. There was one section where I was filming, and they were just coming through in just like t-shirts and sunglasses, Obviously still got the like trousers on and stuff, but they were like trekking through with poles, and it was like they were like cross country skiing in the Alps. It was like, and they were just all of them had a big smile on the face and saying how good.
Yeah, I bet it was amazing.
Yeah, good experience. Yeah, so I expect to see you there soon.
Maybe. Who knows?
Right, let me see where one of my questions have gone. Lost them. So what's next then? What have you got next? What's planned? You say you got planned in April to do the film?
Yeah, so it's called Lakes, Meres and Waters. And basically, the challenge is, it's like a linear sort of challenge, but you essentially, touch every lake, mere and water in the Lake District. So it's just over 100 miles, and it's about 6,500 meters of ascent. And yeah, I mean, Joss Naylor's got the record at just over 19 hours, and pretty much it's similar to the Lakeland 100 in terms of ascent and distance. And I'm pretty sure it's faster than the 100 record. So it just shows how good he was, back in the day. And yeah, I mean, for me, this, like I said, it's just a complete different challenge because it involves a lot more running. So yeah, I mean, I think I'll definitely find it hard, but yeah, if I could get under 24 hours, I'd be very, very happy. But equally, just finishing it would be pretty cool. And that that'd be supported as well. So not myself, that's for sure.
How's your training changed for that then? So you're going from more of a from mountain based stuff, climbing, to more of the flatter running stuff. How have you approached your training for that?
So I finished the Ramsay 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks ago now. 3 weeks, I think it was. So in between the two, there's literally a month. So again, fitness wise, I'm not really going to improve. I have been wrecking the legs as well, so plan on wrecking the whole route before I actually do it, and then just trying to run that at some sort of pace as well, just to see where my body's at. And I seem to be doing all right. I was out yesterday. It was a massive dump of snow yesterday, so I couldn't really run quick. But yeah, my body seems to be holding up all right after the winter. And it's just, I guess, just to see where I'm at, just see if I can keep at a sustained pace for a period of time. And I seem to be doing all right so far. But who knows after 80 miles rather than 20.
Do you think this will open up sort of new avenues to you then, if you can sort of nail that longer distance, flatter terrain stuff? Do you think it'll be something that maybe sort of tips you in the direction of doing, big races and ultras and stuff?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Hills will always be my passion, that's for sure. But with sort of thinking of doing the Southwest Coast Path, for example, that's it involves a lot of height, but there's a lot of trail type running as well. So I'm just trying to think in the long term as well, how to get better and how to improve. And yeah, something like this is definitely a good start, I would say.
Well, you've got to go somewhere because you've done all the rounds, haven't you? So you've got to find another direction.
Do, that's for sure. Yeah, but
awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I guess just broadening my horizons and opening up to trying to get a little bit quicker and stuff as well. And I mean, I can go up and down hills all day, but it's sort of the speed stuff I guess I'm a little bit weaker on, so trying to improve that as well.
Do you run with other fell runners locally regularly, or are you more inclined to sort of do your own thing anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I'm out with friends and stuff often. When I was doing the training for the Wainwrights, for example, a lot of training is often usually by yourself. And then the last year or so, I've got basically got a dog now as well, a Cocker Spaniel. So yeah, he's basically a good training buddy. But yeah, I mean, I train with people often, and I was out with a friend yesterday for half of what I did yesterday, and yeah, it was just good to socialise after spending a long, lonely winter in the hills.
You've been living a bit of a monk's life, haven't you? Just focused on your challenges and getting them done. Well, I hope the weather Well, I don't know whether you want the weather to turn or not. What's your ideal Lake District weather?
For this, it would be nice blue skies and probably like 12 degrees or something would be pretty good. Not snowy like it is at the minute. Well, it's probably going now after all the rain, but yeah, not too icy either.
Yeah, because conditions can change. Can't they? I know last year, not this year, last year I did Tour de Helvellyn, and that was absolutely like the weather for that was absolutely like amazing, so good. And then I couldn't do it this year because of being injured, but
the weather was pretty horrid this year.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, so I thought, in hindsight, that week I actually managed to get up Helvellyn because I was driving south from Scotland for a job that I'd been to, and I'd got all my running stuff, and I was like, I'm just going to go via the Lake District, and just ran up the back of Helvellyn, like Styx side, is it Styx side?
Dromere sort of side.
Went up there, and there was snow everywhere, and it was like allegedly like -15 on the top with a wind chill. Right. And that was it. It was that week the race was on, and they didn't cancel the race, did they? They redirect the route.
A few of my friends were on it, but it's basically just kept it low level, so it's sort of like the lower part of the course. They sort of did an out and back really.
The stick of the lollipop, rather.
That's it. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But not quite onto Helvellyn.
Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it?
Tour de Helvellyn, but you just
Tour de, not Tour de Helvellyn. Yeah.
But I think it was a wise decision though, because I remember seeing footage of like the roads and stuff after, and it was horrific. So it's probably a good decision there.
A good call, definitely. Yeah, brilliant. Well, appreciate you coming on and chatting. So where do you want to direct people then to sort of, if they want to find out more about you, if they want to book you for some outdoor expeditions, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
I don't really have my own company, to be honest. I'm actually doing my running coaching qualifications. So I'm looking at going down that sort of avenue. But I mean, I guess you contact me directly or
Instagram.
Whatever. But, Instagram. But I mean, I just I mainly work for other people, so I often take people out as well. So So what route are you going down as far as coaching then, training for that, and what courses are you doing for that? So it's called USCA.
USCA,
so it's the sort of ultra running element of that.
It's the only real ultra running qualification into that is certification.
I've been quite interested in over the last couple of years, and I've just been spending a lot of time like reading up and about it, and a few
I've done the same thing. I haven't done it yet, but I keep looking at it thinking that's the only one I really feel like I want to do. But I'm quite interested in it, and a couple of my friends sort of are coaches as well, and Paul's a coach, and it'd be cool to hopefully share my experience and pass it on to people. You've definitely got plenty of that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Appreciate you coming on, and I wish you all the best for all of your adventures in the future, and I'm sure we'll catch up in one place or another in the future.
Cheers, Sam.
Thanks, mate. Cheers for the chat.
All right, no worries.